We the people are the ones who gonna have to fight. We used to say, which side are you on? Which side are you on? The truth is, we're in so much debt that the only way out is revolution or war. So now the question is, which side are you on?
So what do you think as we get close and close to the convention, and it looks like Hillary will probably be the nominee of the Democratic Party. What do you think? She's already started to make overtures toward the Bernie Sanders supporters without a lot of success. What would she have to do, in your opinion, to win over Sanders supporters?
She would have to adopt his entire platform, and she would have to be open to progressive supporters and activists holding her to that platform. She would have to not only make a case for a position for Senator Sanders in her administration, she'd practically have to make him vice president. And even then, I don't think that would be enough, because those of us who are Bernie or bust have reached that conclusion because we know who Hillary Clinton is because of the policies that she has advocated, because of the policies that she has advanced and executed, and because of the outcomes of those things. We don't trust what she says, and we don't like what she's done. And I'm paraphrasing the young lady who said that on CNN, but what she said encapsulates perfectly the reason Bernie or bust supporters cannot, in our good conscience, support Hillary Clinton. She can say, as far as making an overture, that she will adopt all of Sanders' platform and implement it exactly the way he is proposing that his platform be implemented. But we don't trust her to do it. And we don't trust her to do it because we've seen how she has a record of flip-flopping on a lot of major issues. And
one of the things that, a few things that Sanders been really hitting her hard on is her close connection to Wall Street. Her stint as Secretary of State and the blunders that she made there. What's been less talked about is her activities in Haiti. Yeah, and the young lady who was on CNN, we shared that video earlier, and I cannot remember her name right now. I apologize for that. But she brought that up. And the Haiti issue. She brought the issue up that when Secretary Clinton was Secretary of State, the people of Haiti demanded a raise in their minimum wage from I think less than like 30 cents an hour. Right, I think it was like 24 cents. I think they wanted like 40-some cents an hour or something like that. But instead of supporting Haitian workers who were demanding a living wage for them, she sided with the corporations that didn't want to pay the Haitian workers that much money. Which was less than 50 cents. Which was less than 50 cents. They were advocating, I think, for 60 cents an hour, and she sided with the corporations and negotiated the wage. She negotiated a higher wage than 24 cents an hour, but only the 32 cents an hour. Right, 32 cents. So if she would do that to Haitian workers, what in the world makes me think she won't do the same to American workers? Yeah, she's not going to negotiate for 32 cents an hour for American workers, but I don't believe for a second that she's going to work to institute a federal $15 an hour minimum wage. Not over the next 2 years, not over the next 5 years, not over the next ever. Well, you know, it's really funny that you mentioned Haiti and Hillary Clinton. You know, part of her success has been her support amongst African Americans.
Yes.
She called them her firewall. You know,
Yes.
she called African Americans her firewall. And so far, you know, the victory that she had over Sanders was so close, and really she won a lot of these primaries based upon African American support. But I wanted to go closer to home because we had an election here in Maryland,
Right.
and Donna Edwards, who was running for Senate from Maryland, who, if she would have won, would have been like the first black female senator from Maryland to be in Congress. She lost to Van Hollen, I believe.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is the fact that when she gave her concession speech, this was what she said, and I'm quoting here. It says, "To my Democratic Party, you cannot show up in churches before Election Day. You cannot sing the first and last verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing. You cannot join hands and walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and call that post-racial and inclusion." She also said, "To my Democratic Party, let me say that today Maryland is on the verge of having an all-male delegation in a so-called progressive state. So what I want to know from my Democratic Party is, when will the voices of people of color, when will the voices of women, when will the voices of labor, when will the voices of black women, when will our voices be effective, legitimate, equal leaders in a big tent party?" And this is what Donna Edward said. And what it struck to me is the fact that here you have a black female politician in a state where Democrats could not win anything without African American voter support. And then you look at Hillary Clinton declaring that black people are her firewall. And, you know, to sit here and hear Donna Edwards say something like that, it really reminds me of the old criticisms that you hear constantly about the Democratic Party and black people. The fact that, you know, we're always taken for granted, you know, and you know, we're always the bridesmaid, never the bride type thing, you know. But I just thought that was interesting, and I really like to know. I'm really, you know, it's hard to get black people to abandon the Democratic Party, like I believe we should. Right.
Yeah, and I think the reason it is so difficult to get black people to abandon the Democratic Party is because, as I said before, we believe that if we don't vote for Democrats, that means we automatically have to vote for Republicans. Well, that's not true. We believe that, number one, because that's what we're told. You know, whenever anyone says, "I'm tired of the Democratic Party, I'm not voting for another Democrat," the DNC gets on my nerves. "Oh, well, good luck with a Trump, Cruz, Republican presidency." That you can't. I'm black. I've been poor. I've lived in the hood all my life. You can't scare me with a Republican presidency. I've lived through a few of them. Not only have I lived through a few Republican presidencies and have seen the damage they have done to especially black and poor communities, I've lived through Democratic presidencies and I've seen the damage they've done too.
Right.
So we black people need to get away from this thinking that we are beholden to the Democratic Party as if they have done something particularly special for us recently, because they haven't. Now, the allegiance to the Democratic Party is strongest, I believe, among middle-class black people and black people in higher socioeconomic segments of the black community. And that is because a lot of the damaging policies or a lot of the effects of the damaging policies that especially occurred under the Clinton administration hit poor black people the hardest. It's not that they didn't affect middle-class black people at all, because, you know, we talk on our internet radio show, Coffee, Current Events, and Politics, all of the time about how systemic racism doesn't care how much money you make. But I can just see in our community where we live the difference in the response to the struggles that poor black people have from other black people.
Well, you know, Bernie Sanders caught a lot of criticism because he basically admitted that what you were saying about the demographics of black people that do come out to vote, he basically took heat because he basically said that the reason why he hasn't been getting as much support from the people who would benefit the most from his policies is because poor people don't vote.
Right. I mean,
and the statistics prove that, but they came after him for that.
But again, I think this goes back to the way our media and our public school system, but let me just stay on track with the media. I think that goes back to the way our media is doing such a disservice in providing us actual information so that we are more informed, so that we're a more informed populace. Because see, the reason poor people don't vote as much as middle class and wealthy people do, one of the reasons is that regardless of who is in the White House in the past 10, 15, 20 years, poor people's situation hasn't changed. It hasn't gotten any better. So when you see that and you've lived through that for long enough, you come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter who I vote for, I'm screwed. I'm still going to be poor. Nobody's going to help me. Nobody's going to do anything to make my situation better because they don't care about me. So that's one reason that it's true that poor people do not vote. The other reason does tie directly to who is in office, because the recent efforts to roll back segments of the Voting Rights Act have disproportionately affected poor people. When you institute gerrymandering and you change voting districts and you institute voter ID laws that make it not only more difficult to secure the proper identification, but that costs money that people just can't spare. When you eliminate polling stations because of gerrymandering from certain districts, so that there are fewer places to go vote, fewer election resources to answer your questions, and if you're the working poor, you can't afford to take time off to go stand in a line for 5 hours to vote. If the choice is between exercising your civic right to vote and going to work so you can feed your family, you're going to go to work. And you're not going to feel bad that you didn't vote. Because after all, regardless of who you vote for, you're still going to be poor. So if our media were unbiased and responsible, we would know that. More Americans would know that. Instead, we get what you just said happened. Bernie Sanders told the truth, and the media treated him as if he cursed at people. But I can only blame the media for part of that, because we now live in the age where we have the single most powerful information delivery system probably ever created by man, and that's the internet, along with social media. Everything on the internet isn't true, but there is a lot of information on the internet that we would not have been able to easily and quickly have access to before this time. So, okay, fine, the corporate-owned media doesn't give you this information. That doesn't mean that this information is not available to you. So, yeah, the media smeared what Sanders said. They twisted what he said and they turned it into something that wasn't true, that he didn't mean. But that's not keeping you from going to investigate what he said yourself. Ask the question, why would he say that? And then do the research and find out for yourself.
Boy, which side are you on, my Lord? Which side are you on, boy? Which side are you on, my Lord?
See, before I draw the line, let me welcome you close to all the folks who knew Obama sold the people a hoax. Gave the money to suckers while our community's still poor. Withdrew the troops but started another war. Colonizing, terrorizing, creating the oil crisis so they can make a kill on no food and gas prices. Prisons is filling, they trying to lock up the future. Militarized borders and control of computers. Want a stupid bumping music that ain't healthy for the shortest. Privatizing schools and policemen in the hallways. Can't be dormant, I woke